Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Flynn, and I'm here with
Scott Lang.
And we are the Band Dads. Here to bring you a podcast about something that we care very dearly about, which is music education and band.
Some of you are here because you want to learn about all things band. Some of you are here because you want to see a train wreck. And the answer is yes to both of those. We don't care why you're here. We're going to answer all the questions. We're going to say the things you're thinking. We're going to debunk all the myths.
Yep. This is the Band Dads Podcast.
The podcast by and for confused band parents.
Nice. You said the tagline. I need some advice, Scott Lang. It's not always that I come to you for advice, so, you know.
Listen, I think you should shave the beard.
That's not it. That's not what I was going to ask. So thanks, though. Actually, you probably don't. You would not even recognize me. I would look kind of funky. You would.
And I don't think you should shave it. I'm just like, if you're going to leave an open-ended question out there, I'm going to fill that void.
I actually didn't ask a question. I think I was just making a statement that I'm going to ask for your advice, as a matter of fact. And there you just freely offered it up.
I'm so excited. No one ever asks my advice.
See?
I'm super excited.
I know, and here I am on
like
your
a
doorstep.
Golden retriever puppy right now.
On your doorstep.
How can I help you, Chris?
So, Scott, I need to understand. So now, as you know, as we've talked about, I'm now more involved in the boosters. I took over the role of president this year.
Chris, can we just talk about how insane that is? You were already doing
I felt like I was the right person for the job.
Every photo, the band portraits, the video production, the programs for the concert programs. And you thought, hey, in addition to being a
data analyst,
I should be the band booster.
But you know what? The data analyst makes me a good president, too.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I just don't know when you're going to find time to sleep.
You know what? I'm doing an okay job. Maybe not. Here's what I'll say. We'll talk about boosters again, I'm sure, another time. And we're actually very excited because I'm going to get to participate in a local forum of sorts with one of our local marching band associations. We're going to talk about booster culture and all that fun stuff coming up in August. But
okay, what's your question?
My question is, as the band booster president, should I be disappointed that due to weather restrictions, we had to cancel a fundraiser today? Or should I just be excited that I actually got to sleep in a little bit instead of waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go do a car wash in Arizona in July?
You're asking Scott Lang, the band director, Scott Lang, the band parent?
However you feel like answering.
I'm going to say, as the band director, I'm disappointed because I wanted the money, but as the parent, I'm super excited because my kid got to sleep in.
Yeah, me too, for that matter.
Yeah, so I'm going to say I'm on both sides of that fence.
I wasn't too upset, but we're going to reschedule. We're not canceling it, so we'll redo it.
So, here's the thing I would tell you, Mr. Data Analyst, and this is so aside from this podcast, but do the math, Mr. Data Analyst. Look at the amount of kids, the amount of hours, and the income, and it ends up about a third of what minimum wage is, and make me the argument that we should be doing it.
But is this one of the, you're right, and I would have to do that math, but is this one of those, it's bigger than the money lessons? Is
yes.
It just the teamwork and the group working together to put in some physical work?
And my answer back would be to you, when it's 98 degrees, it's teamwork. When it's 117 degrees.
It's not 117?
No, not today because it rained. That's why we canceled it. But so I could see both sides of the fence. I'm not a car wash person because I just did the math. My bands did them when I moved schools. Like we do Saturday car wash. I did the math and went, you are crazy.
Yeah.
That just the math doesn't make sense to me.
Fair enough. All right. So we got sidetracked, but folks, welcome back to season 4 of the Band Dads Podcast. I'm Chris Flynn, as always, here with.
I'm Scott Lang, and we're the Band Dads. It's hard for you to fathom, most of you. It's not only July 17th and we're back on the air. We have completed band camp.
We have.
And the first week of school.
We have done both of those things. Yes.
So many schools in the area will start band camp on Monday, 2 days from now.
Correct.
On the 20th or whatever that is.
Right.
And then do 10 days of camp and then school. We have done all of that. Our report date was July 7th?
6th, I think.
July 6th. And school started on July
17th or something. No, that's today, isn't it? I don't know.
If you understand, I believe we hold the distinction, and I challenge anyone in this podcast to prove me wrong on this. We have the longest marching band season in the United States of America.
It really seems hard to discredit considering the time frame of, we do our camp before school. We go back to school earlier than anyone. And like you've said before, due to weather, our competitions go up until the middle of November. So I think that's hard to argue. I think you're probably right.
We want to talk a little bit about band camp today because most of you are heading into it. And as you hear this, that you may glean something from it, learn something from it. Now, keep in mind, if you're on the East Coast and school starts Tuesday after Labor Day, which is September 11th.
Yeah.
11th, your band camp is still a month away.
Correct.
That's how far. Think about that.
Correct.
So if you are in Buffalo, New York, my hometown, go Bills. If you're in Buffalo, New York, your season starts August 20th and it's over by the middle of October. It's 8 weeks because then there's snow on the ground.
Yeah.
You're the entirety of your season. Now, to stretch your minds a little bit, Chris, between band camp and our first performance is 8 weeks.
That's it? It's got to be more than that, doesn't it? No, it has to be more than that.
No, it's 8 weeks.
Really?
To our first football game. Not our competition. To our first our first competition, it's like almost 12.
14 or
yeah. It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
I share that with you because that's what we kind of want to talk about band camp today. Gotcha. Now, last year, Chris did an incredible deep dive into camp. It's a 3-part mini series. I'm going to call it a mini series.
Okay. No, that's fair.
On Bandcamp. And he literally, this is how crazy he is. He literally took vacation time.
I did.
To go experience Bandcamp.
I did.
In person, 12 hours a day for 8 consecutive days. But that's not what this episode is about.
Not only that, but I would go on further to say even before we released those Inside Bandcamp episodes, we released an episode called This Is Where It Starts, which was kind of a very light overview. So like Scott and I talked about last season, one of the things that's different about our trajectory in terms of how we're doing episodes now is we mentioned strategic depth was the name of an episode because that's really how we've changed things up. We're trying to take things to a different level now. So this is kind of a compliment, meaning like feel free to listen to This Is How It Starts and then Inside Bandcamp. But we're going to offer some even deeper dives, deeper cuts, let's say, into Bandcamp and give you some different level of understanding of this process.
So let's start with the basic question. Why Bandcamp?
Why Bandcamp?
Yeah, what's the point?
Well, the point that we talked about previously is to establish the culture of your band. That's what we said previously. That was
and it's 100%. And so I think that if you have to take that approach, here's what I would challenge. A lot of what we're sharing today is to get you as a parent and the directors who listen to this to maybe just take a step back and look at camp from a different perspective. Like when I said last year, based on the rehearsal schedule of our camp, our season was halfway over at the end of band camp.
Right.
Instructionally speaking, we had 52 hours in.
Sure.
We had like 60 left in the rest of the season.
Right.
That's type of mentality is rethinking camp. And I was thinking about this today as we were prepping for this episode. I kind of look at it at band camp is twofold. Number one, you're buying into something.
Okay.
So like, Bandcamp's hard. Fair point, Chris?
Yes.
It's difficult. Fair point?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you buy into a business, starting a business is hard. Fair point?
Absolutely.
Running a business is hard. Fair point?
Most definitely.
But if you've invested into starting it, you're less likely to quit it or stop it.
I would agree.
And so I started thinking about that today of part of it's like Marine Corps. Like once you've survived basic, well, God, now you're bought into being a Marine. You're invested in it. I think the two things takeaways for me about Bandcamp is number one, it's an investment.
No, that's good.
That keeps kids anchored during difficult times throughout the season.
Most definitely. No, I would agree. And when we talk about if it's to establish culture and you're making this investment, then again, let's go further. Well, what does that mean? How do you establish culture? What are some of the things that we do in Bandcamp that help establish that culture, right? Which is like, there's a lot of teamwork stuff, right? There's a lot of stuff within sections. There's like the whole leadership idea, right? We did a whole episode on leadership and establishing a leadership team who helps guide these sections to do things that really you can't do in other places in the season.
There it is, right there. Right. You just hit it on the head. I know I'm going to rehearse drill in September. Fair point?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know I'm going to rehearse choreography in October. Fair point?
Most definitely.
I know I'm going to rehearse drill in August. Fair point?
Most definitely.
I also know and am self-aware enough to know I'm not doing team bonding activities in November.
You don't have time.
We're cleaning freaking drill.
Don't have time, yeah.
We're going to get better.
Right.
And so the philosophy I would challenge any person listening to this podcast, whether you're running a sectional as a kid, because we know we have our friend from Las Vegas, the now incoming freshman at, I believe it's not Clark High School, but anyway, Felix,
that's the
nailed
one.
it. I got the name right, Felix. Shout out to Felix and Love. Anyway, whether you're running a sectional, whether you're running a parent group, whether you're running a band, that you do the things in camp. You put the things that you can only do in camp as your first priority.
Makes sense.
And you put the things that you can do during other times as your second priority. Now, that doesn't mean I don't teach drill at camp. It means it's not my priority. It doesn't mean I don't rehearse body choreography in camp. It means it's not my priority.
Right.
That do the things in camp that you can only do in camp first. Do everything else second.
No, that makes sense. And, I think one of the things that I like is in addition to just the team bonding stuff, I know we get opportunities to spend time specifically on the leaders themselves as well, meaning that, there a lot of groups do specific camps or workshops or whatever specifically for the leadership group, again, that later in the season you just don't have time for. And I really appreciate, as a parent whose daughter was interested in leadership, I really appreciate that they take that time. And it does mean that much. It's not just a title. There's, to your point, you said the word investment. There's an actual investment, and it's tangible for me as a parent in that way. And I really appreciate that.
So I want to highlight a change that our program made that I think might be beneficial to others. The next point I would say is that part of that philosophy, do only the things you can do at first and do everything else second, is looking at your rehearsal schedule.
Sure.
And so deconstructing not only the camp. So I would encourage everyone to look at every activity at camp and say, is this something that takes a priority because it's something I can only do in camp? Whether it's team bonding, whether it's leadership, whether it's 3-hour sectionals that we can't do during the season.
Right.
And so then when you look at that, looking at your schedule and deconstructing it to make sure you're putting first things first. So we talked last year about the different types of camps. There's home camp. There's away camp, you go away to a place, and then there's a mixture of in between. You do 3 days here and 3 days at home.
Right.
But there's a hybrid of schedules.
Okay.
And that there's all day, 8 to 8. That is one way of doing something. It works, it doesn't. And a lot of that, to be very frank with you, depends on weather. It depends on where you're located.
It makes sense.
Another way is, I see a lot of bands do it, is it's a morning block and an evening block, and the kids go away during the day, during the hottest part.
Okay.
They leave. So we do 7 to 11, and then we do 6 to 10 or whatever that may be.
Gotcha.
Then there's a hybrid block where you do morning everyone, evening everyone, and in the afternoons you do rotating instructional blocks. So one of the things our band switched to this past year was they call them block days and all days. All day is 8 to 8, everyone. That's days 1, 3, 5, and 7.
Right.
Days 2, 4, and 6 are 8 to 11 color guard.
Right.
11 to 2 winds.
Correct.
2 to 5 percussion.
Yep.
And then everyone 6 to 8. And the reason it jives with those two philosophies is, number one, you can't do individual sectionals for 3 hours any other time during the year.
Right.
The second part is it gives, after doing a 12-hour day, it gives the kids an off day.
Sure.
That's indoors, because the sectionals are almost always indoors, and you can just grind on music for 3 hours.
Gotcha.
And so what our director does, I think it's brilliant, is he doesn't choose one or the other. He alternates the different systems. So he has all days.
Right.
And he has block days.
It's a mix-up,
and then he has a block day where you may come in the morning and the evening, or if our percussion is 2 to 5, dinner 5 to 6, everyone 6 to 8.
Yeah. And what's exciting, we talked about just not that long ago, we talked about if you see routines change, that's a positive, right? It means your band director is
100%
open-minded and evolving. One of the things that's exciting for me as a parent is, so to Scott's point, we just completed our second year of having this block mix schedule for our band camp. Traditionally, we were, prior to this, a full day for 6 to 8, 10 days, whatever it is. So this is our first 2 years. Last year, they were excited that they accomplished the amount of that they did at band camp. This year, again, after our parent performance, again and again, they're like, yeah, we can't believe where we're at. Like, we're so excited. Like, we're even further ahead than last year. We were way
further ahead. And that goes back to that comment we made in the hot takes, which is about efficiencies.
Yes.
Drum corps, they may rehearse 12 hours a day, but they're usually only together the last 2 hours of the day.
Gotcha.
Because it's too hot to do full ensemble out there on the field in the afternoon. And in the morning, the drums are cleaning drum work, the guard's cleaning guard work, and so on and so forth. And then usually dinner to either you're getting on a bus to go to a competition or to bed and head time is full ensemble.
Right.
So it's just something to think about in addition to home and away. But think about what are the different formats that you can rehearse and that will be more efficient and keep the kids fresher.
Yeah, and I would say if you think about it logistically too, parents, especially boosters, there is some other benefit, meaning that just the efficiency of the band is one thing, but listen, operationally, there's some benefit to the fact that if the kids aren't there all day, then yeah, there's less opportunity. Like for instance, if they're not there all day, we don't feed them dinner. That's just the best way to say that. In 3 days of a week that we don't have to feed our band is probably a couple $1,000s saved just
easily.
in food costs.
Well, and okay, so we talked
and
about
the kids are not mad that they get to go home for a couple hours either.
the philosophy, and then we talked about the efficiency. So, Chris, now that you're the Band Booster president,
yeah,
you have to see the logistics of band camp in a whole new way.
Very much so. Very much so. And I've touted on our amazing treasurer, Leah Lang, multiple times, but
the band mom.
Yeah, incredible. And the reason why it was so easy, I think, for me to step into that transition as a data analyst is she's already done the work to create the structure I need visually to see basically what it's taken to make this thing run the way that it has to this point. So it's very easily for me to step in and kind of put all those numbers together. And that is just one of those things that maybe you don't think about is not only do you need so it's multiple things. It's you need somebody to run it, you need volunteers to show up to feed them, and then you need the money to, you know what I mean? Like a lot goes into it. Just
I don't think a lot of parents, unless you show up at band camp and you think, oh, all the bands in all these different rooms, who unlocked them? Who filled out the facility request?
Good point, actually.
Who checked for air conditioning?
That's a good point.
And they're rehearsing drill. Who made the copies? Who got the dot sheets done? They're out on the field. Do we have 2 nurses assigned? Who's refilling the water jugs? Where's and that's why I said, like, you were in the band like nobody, but as the president, now you've got to see a whole new financial and logistical side to band. Let me ask you this. Is it the most logistically intensive 10 days of the year?
Oh, by far to the point where I've had to like kind of pause multiple things and projects just to get through this 2 weeks of my life to make sure that I give this the focus that it needs to run successfully.
I mean, because I was down at camp a fair amount and I was never down there when you weren't down there. Ever. You were always there.
That's right.
But as a parent, like you should, if there's an opportunity to not just parent preview night, that's one thing. But if you get a chance to just bring your kid a jug of water or a sandwich or sunscreen that they forgot, whatever it is, take a step back and deconstruct the logistics of the rooms, the air conditioning, the water, the egress, the access, the feeding, what t-shirt are they wearing? Who ordered the t-shirts?
Right.
How much did the t-shirt cost? When were the t-shirts ordered?
Right.
I mean, the logistics, it's a small village out there.
Yeah. And not only, are we taking meetings internally for our own function, but yeah, I mean, last time, we were there, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with Scott because I had to step off to the side to go meet with the football booster president to talk about how we're going to work with them this year. And that relationship, I hate to say it because there is a decent amount of politics involved in this as well, which, corporate America has taught me pretty well how to navigate those relationships, thank goodness. But there is a lot to it that people don't even think about.
Well, and politics within the parents of the organization.
100%.
Now they're being introduced to this. So this is my favorite thing. I did this when I was a band director. I sat next to I could see it at the band parent meeting that we had.
Yes.
There was this gentleman who came in alone, very polished, very put together. And he just sat there for 40 minutes while everyone was eating because we feed the kids, send them out to rehearsal, feed the parents,
yes,
have a parent meeting, and then everyone goes to the gym for a parent preview performance.
Yes.
And he was just sitting there, and you could just tell this guy was sharp and he knew what he was doing. He was put together. He obviously was very professional, but he was completely alone. And I was walking around, I clean plates. That's what I do. Yes. I feed the bears and I clean up the cafeteria.
Yes, he does.
And after about 30 minutes, I walked up to him. I said, "You're a new parent, aren't you?"
Gotcha.
And he goes, "I am." And I said, "I promise you, we're not as batshit crazy as you think we are."
Yeah.
And he just laughed. He said, "I got to admit, I didn't know any of this world existed. And my daughter's gone 12 hours a day. And I don't understand." And I just said, "Wait till September 23rd.
Right.
When you see your kid in uniform at their first competition, you're going to know that we're not crazy. But you just have to trust that we're not crazy for the next 8 weeks. So when we say show up, just show up.
Right.
When we say drop your daughter off, drop your daughter off. When we say give us money for a shirt, just give us money.
Right.
You've got to trust in the process." But if you had to tell your Band Booster president, you talked to a bunch of new parents, what would you say to a new parent or a parent even coming from another band program to a new school? What would you tell them about the band camp process?
Ooh, what would you tell them about the band camp process, huh? So the interesting part is here's what I would say. Based on everything that we've done together, Scott, in my experience in 3 years of as a band parent prior to becoming the president, I definitely saw the importance for making sure that we embrace that new group of parents very quickly, especially those like me who didn't come into the activity with any experience whatsoever, because you kind of have to find your way. And I want to make sure that we don't take too long for those people to find their way, because not only do I want them involved, I want their kid to stay involved as well.
So get that investment.
So, right. So almost right away, once we established kind of our communication channel, so we use Slack still for our band for communication. I specifically created a group for new and freshman parents to give them a place that ideally just to let them know, to feel safe.
Even safe to ask questions if they don't want to feel stupid asking to all 286 parents on our Slack channel.
Yeah, if you haven't, again, during season 1, we did an episode about band boosters and how it's basically a possessive cult. And ultimately, it's not for the wrong reasons. It's just for very, people protect themselves. They insulate themselves from this thing that they like so much, but that can be intimidating for new parents.
100%.
So it was very important for me right off the bat to create this kind of group of new parents to say, I will help you however you need. The good news is, too, the fun part about this is it's not just new parents and the freshman parents. We have siblings of kids who have been through the band before. So this group is very much also made up of at least probably 10 parents who have familiarity with the program, who can also kind of help assist, mentor a little bit. So for band camp, I would just say, again, look at the calendar, follow the schedule the best that you can. It's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be easy. Your kid's gonna have difficult days. But at the end of it, they'll realize what they accomplished. They'll have new friends, and they'll have, this whole new set of traditions that you still may not understand for a period of time.
And so it's not just band camp for kids; it's band camp for parents.
I mean, ideally, you include them in the process as well. Yeah.
We didn't have the opportunity because of the way the calendar fell this year. But last year, at an all-day Saturday, dropped the kids off at 8. We did a donut breakfast for all the new parents in the cafeteria, and we did a presentation and answered all the questions that a new parent wanted to ask.
Right.
And then we got them together in sections so the drum rookie parents could meet the other drum rookie parents, and the guard rookie parent. And that was so incredibly beneficial. And we weren't able to do that because we had 2 Saturdays of camp last year. We only had 1 Saturday.
Correct. We're still doing it. So it's scheduled for August 8th this year. So
I didn't know that.
Yes. So we had to push that out a little bit later. To your point, the restrictions that we had due to things that we had to accomplish for band camp took precedence, as always, right? But we saw an opportunity. Maybe we have like another Saturday camp, August 8th. So we're going to sneak it in. So we're still doing it because we did love it that much and it was that valuable that we are going to do that again. So yeah.
So what should a parent expect when a kid comes home from a day of band camp? Now, please understand, we would never tell anyone. Every child is different.
Yes.
And every parent's different.
Yes.
But I want to acknowledge the fact that not every kid's going to come home smelling like roses saying this was the best day of my life.
No, that you probably won't ever get that. As a matter of fact.
Your daughter loves band.
My daughter is a senior, has a whole different perspective. So that's one of those things that we have kind of talked about before. But the most important thing to know is it's a different journey every time they go through it, right? So meaning that freshman year in particular, it's the hardest one.
Oh, hands down.
It's the hardest one. Scott talked about this before. They come back sophomore year with more confidence. They've been through it. They understand what to expect a bit. They know they can get through it and accomplish it. They have that much more confidence, and they're not the new kid on the block anymore. So they've got some experience.
Evan's comment about camp that was this year?
What is that?
So just before camp, I said, "You excited for band camp?" And he goes, "No." And so at the end of camp, my son really struggled his first year in ways, physical and other, with the whole overwhelming part of camp. And you know what he said this year? He said, went a whole lot faster than I remembered ever going.
Yeah.
Like, to your point was, like, he's done it 2 years before. He's got the hardest part behind him. He's carrying a heavier drum.
That's a good
point. It was hotter this year than it was last year.
Yeah.
They were outside more this year than there were last year. And his one comment was, it seemed to go by faster than it did in years past.
Which is, and that group has a whole bunch of new, but listen, that's why it's interesting, because it is a new process every year. So it's going to be different every time. But I think this year as a senior was maybe the first time that my daughter, I've actually heard her say, "Dad, that was the best day. Oh God, I loved it." Like, I don't know that I've heard it that specific before, because it is exhausting otherwise, and it is very tiring and trying. And Scott's right. Your kid. Your kid's probably going to get in the car, and if they grunt at you, that's probably okay. At least they're responsive.
We call that Monday in my house.
There you go. So they're at least responsive. So that's a positive. And then, the most important thing is, as a parent, just offer the correct level of support, meaning that it's a tiring process. It's exhausting. So when they come home, do your best to help them reinsure good habits, like hydrating. Even at nighttime, before they go to bed, they should continue hydrating. If they need a snack or something, like, make sure they're getting fulfilled, and then help them make sure they're going to bed at a good time to get the rest that they need. Those are really the main things, because, the kid's been through this process of work all day. They may just want to mess around in the evening, but as a parent, reinforce those.
I was going to say space. Now, I can't speak to anyone else's child. please understand that. But I will tell you, my wife and I have learned when we pick our kid up from camp, we don't talk in the car.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to answer any questions. He doesn't want to tell you how his day was.
Gotcha.
He just wants to decompress. And then he comes home and he goes up and he turns on his Xbox and, he's gone 8 to 8. By the time we're home, it's 9,
Gotcha.
Because we got to get him food on the way home.
Right.
And we've learned as parents of our child, the most important thing we do is give him space.
Yeah.
Don't ask any questions.
Yeah.
Don't ask him about the day.
Right.
Don't ask him how he did.
Right.
He didn't tell you anything went bad, then assume it went good.
Yeah. And know your kid, so again, my stepson, who's a incoming freshman this year, he's to your point, he's similar, but in the way that I'll give him a little bit of space, but I'm confident that I don't have to go after him at some point once he settles in a little bit and like gathers himself. He'll come and volunteer and say, oh man, this happened, or oh, this was what we experienced, or this is what we dealt with. And he'll volunteer that information, to your point, if I give him a little bit of room first. So yeah, just know the kid.
And imagine yourself as a parent. I want you to think about this. 12 hours. Think of yourself as a parent. 12 hours with 125 other parents with noise-making devices, with loudspeakers, in the hot sun, physically being taxing. You don't even get to eat and have 5 minutes by yourself. You eat in teams, eat in group, and you get in your car at 8 o'clock at night to go home. Are you hoping to have a long conversation?
Leave me alone. Yeah, no, I could see that.
Put yourself through that experience and then understand why your child may need some space. But the other thing I was going to say for our son, who's not always the most put together, is we don't ask him anything about the next day. We check the bank calendar. We're like, okay, he needs a white shirt. We know he needs his igloo jug refilled. We know we need to locate his X amount of shoes that he needs. We know tomorrow's Spirit Day and he's wearing an orange shirt. So we're going to go get an orange shirt. We're going to lay it out for him. Right. And by we, let me be clear. I mean, my wife, Leah, does that.
We all know what you meant. Yes.
Okay,
we all know what you meant. Don't worry.
And so I think, especially if you're a younger parent of a freshman, you've got to be logistically one step ahead.
Sure.
We know it's day 3 and you've worn the white shirt 2 days in a row now. It's got to be washed on the end of night too before he wears it. Or you got to go to Target while he's at rehearsal and buy a pack of white shirt. Whatever it is, be one step. Let your child survive the physicality. At least in the Army, they provide your clothes, your shoes, your food. You don't have to think about logistics.
Yeah.
Well, when you come home from a 12-hour day at band, you still have logistics to think about.
Yeah.
And so if you can pull that off of your child,
right,
then I think that was hugely beneficial for our kid.
And that's one of the things that I tried to help do from the booster perspective this year. So I would say booster parents, if you can help with this process as well. So generally those things that Scott's talking about, which is our intricacies around our theme, like our Spirit Days is what he's talking about. This day you wear this is the theme for this day, whatever. That gets communicated from our student leadership team to the students through whatever communication channel that they're using to communicate with each other for the band. That said, again, because not every kid is great at communicating with their parents, we would find in the past that those things didn't always make it to the parents in the way that they needed to or as timely as they needed to.
I wonder, did it ever?
Well, so again, the last thing I want is a parent who's already trying to figure out how to survive this process along with their kid is, the kid gets in the car at 9 o'clock at night, and then you're like, and they say to you, oh, I need a white shirt for tomorrow. And now you have to run to Walmart or Target or whatever at 9, 10 o'clock at night to get a shirt for the next day. So we try to be very specific about at least, getting the information ahead of time to communicate that to parents. And we got some compliments about how great the communication was this year because people could understand or had expectations going into it that this is what they needed to do so they could be prepared, because if nothing else, as a parent, you want to be prepared.
And that's where because you want to be prepared because you don't want your kid to look like a fool.
Well, that too.
But I think that's where the communication is so critical. Because almost every night, and I got to confess, I don't post a lot on the Slack channel, hardly ever at all, but I read it.
Yeah.
And I learned stuff like, oh, tomorrow's orange shirt day. Yeah. Crap, didn't know that. Better go find an orange shirt. And I read it because someone else asked that question. Sure. I heard tomorrow's orange shirt day. Where did everyone buy an orange shirt? Or I heard tomorrow's block day. What time do the woodwinds start and where? Right. They're asking all the questions I'm not asking, but I still want to know that information.
Right.
And so I think, again, those communications, those channels where it's interactive, where it's not just the director putting information out, but it's parents putting questions in, but everyone can see the questions.
Right.
Hugely informative to new parents.
And as we talked about before, again, you have to know your program's strengths and weaknesses. If communication is not your director's strong point, help facilitate that. Like help make up for it. Don't get frustrated by, oh, we didn't get this message. The message existed somewhere. Unfortunately, it didn't make it to you.
And it usually existed with your children.
Exactly.
And they just didn't bring it home. And
correct.
I speak of experience.
Yes, correct. So again, if we can help supplement that process to eliminate some of the frustration and increase engagement, I'm all for it. So that was one of our goals.
Yeah, I just think it's important to acknowledge, like, there are going to be some darker days. And, maybe it's only one day in camp your kid comes home just grumpy. That's to be expected. I don't think if you asked a Marine every day at the end of boot camp, was today a great day? There are going to be some days they're going to say, no, it sucks.
Yeah.
That just means they're pushing themselves and they're growing and they're evolving. If they came home every day and said, today was easy, I wonder what the band was getting done.
Yeah. And Scott, if you had to put out there, sometimes kids do have to take a break. They have to sit out. Maybe the activity is too much or overwhelming. What would you say is probably the number one reason why kids maybe need to sit out during band camp activity?
I just tell you, we can talk about all the preparation stuff. They're just not physically prepared.
Okay.
I mean, in a world, let's be honest, in a world that you and I grew up in, and I hate to be this guy who says, well, back in my day, where after school you ran around outside in the heat and you played baseball and you played tackle football. In a world of cell phones and Xboxes, the kids today aren't as physically prepared to carry 30 pounds of sheet metal in the summer heat.
That's true. Yeah.
And, I let me be honest. I think most people listening to this podcast aren't prepared to carry 30 pounds of sheet metal
that's actually a good point too.
in the heat.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about, well, kids, you've got to hydrate, and kids, you've got to stretch, you got to do all these things. But the bottom line is, unless your child is involved in an athletic endeavor, then they're not prepared for the physicality of band camp.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair point. And not to oversimplify it, but yeah, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking hydration, which goes along with the physically prepared. But to me, that's probably the biggest thing is kids don't necessarily have good habits going into band camp, right? It's summer break. Like what do kids do during summer?
Again, I think you should put it back to the parents. How could I carry Evans Baystrom around for 4 hours in the sun? I probably could. Would I come back for the afternoon block? I probably would not.
Right.
And I'm a grown ass man.
Right.
Like, well, I'm not that tall. I'm mostly grown. But my point is, like, before you get on your kid about you're not prepared and you should have done hydrating, what time did you go to bed last night, parents?
Okay, so that's a fair point. So yes, you could model that. But yeah, don't underestimate the hydration piece. And again, for band camp, when it's that intense and they need that much liquid, water is good and you need to drink a lot of water, but don't be afraid to maybe sub in some electrolytes.
Okay, 3 things we're going to talk about protection. We're going to talk about protection of hydration. Absolutely. Number 2, don't send your kid anywhere without sunscreen, period, the end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We just know more about the sun and what it does to the human body now.
Yeah.
And number 3 is don't send your kid to camp without earplugs.
You mean kids are not invincible? They can't just go without drinking water or wearing sunscreen?
Well, yeah, of course. That's why I sat on a cardboard box with no seatbelt in the back of my dad's station wagon.
Exactly.
Well, he had an open Pabst Blue Ribbon in his hand.
And look how you turned out, huh?
I'm the cautionary tale.
Oh,
this is not how we want people to turn out.
Don't do as we did. I see. My bad. So selling that the wrong direction.
I'm not aspirational. I'm cautional.
Oh, fair enough. Actually, okay. All right. Yeah, I see how we could pivot there. Yeah.
So
pivot there.
Coming back full circle.
Yes.
To why we do band camp. How important is this experience to the entire season?
I think it's absolutely crucial because as we've talked about, there's really just some things you can do in band camp that you will never have the opportunity to do throughout the rest of the season that do a lot for cementing, again, those relationships, the commitment, all of the things that you want to get out of leading a group of kids through this activity the rest of the season only can happen during this time of band.
And so as parents, if we know that these incredibly important formative experiences require an intensity of time and work to get the kids to that point, then I think as a band parent, you should expect a similar intensity of time and work to prepare your child. That if you're a new parent, Tuesday night rehearsal isn't going to feel like band camp. Your kids, you're just going to drop them off. You're going to pick them up in 2.5 hours.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah.
And so I think when you look at band camp, I knew, I travel for a living. I didn't travel during band camp because I knew I had to be home to support my wife and make sure my kid, because she's doing band booster stuff. So I got to get the kid to rehearsal. I got to fill his water jug. I got to make sure. Yep. So parents, if it feels overwhelming, then understand that just as camp will come to an end, so will this level of commitment and intensity come to an end.
That's true. That's very true. And here's what I would say is probably the hardest part, especially for new kids and new parents. The hardest part is the payoff doesn't come for a while.
Especially in Arizona, we still have 8 weeks.
Correct. And that's for a football game. So that's not even the selfishness of their own competition.
Here's the thing I would tell you, and my school when I taught was the very first school in Arizona to go year-round back in 1996. And the thing I underestimated and I learned in year 2 was getting kids to week 9 without a performance. No carrot. It's all stick for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
And man, that second year, I had a 4-week performance. I had a 6-week performance. I made up reasons to put the kids in uniform because as we move start dates earlier, that it's a lot of stick and not a lot of carrot.
Yeah. Well, and again, we're talking about an 8-week process. For you, it might only be a month, but that could still feel like a long time. So that would be, if anything else, to just be patient. Because I promise you, like Scott said, get to that first performance, maybe even get in the pit and push and help if you can. You'll understand very quick why, and the payoff is worth it. But it does take a little patience in the beginning. So for those new parents, those kind of first year, those coming into it, Scott, what are those? What tips would you give a new parent? What would you tell them? What advice would you give to new parents?
Ask every question that comes to your mind. There's no dumb question.
Excellent point.
Because the bottom line is an unanswered question is a student failure.
Okay.
What socks should the kids wear? Well, you didn't know they're supposed to be more than ankle high or they're supposed to be white. And so your kid shows up and your kid feels stupid and now they want to quit because they don't feel like they're successful.
That makes sense.
So I would say number 1, ask every question that comes to mind.
I agree.
The second thing I would tell you is set aside that week of camp if you can and be as available as is humanly possible. And that may mean you don't do anything but making sure they start their day right and get home and get food or whatever it is, but expect your intensity level of commitment to your child to be elevated during camp than any other time in the rest of the season.
Yeah.
The third thing I would tell them is, and parents know, meet your child where they need to be met. During camp, I don't talk to my son.
Gotcha.
He just wants to come home and get on his Xbox and laugh.
Right.
He doesn't want to think, how was your day? Tell me about band. What'd you learn today? He's done with band. He did 12 hours of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
So meet your kid, where they need to be.
Right.
And then, the last thing I would say is don't be shy about dropping off a treat, packing them an icy.
Sure.
That doing something, slipping them a note in their bag, something that takes an extremely arduous day and just breaks it up just a little bit. Those would be the 4 things I would tell you.
I think that's an excellent point. And, I think again, for newer parents, I think one of the things that, if your newer student could be potentially intimidated by is, maybe they don't really know the lingo. Maybe it could be an equipment choice. It could be even just the fact that they are playing with kids who have been doing this for 3 or 4 years. They might be intimidated by just their skill level not being, on the same level, but that's not what this activity is about. It's not individual competition.
And parents, you have to understand, you got to realize if I said, I'm going to take an 8th grader, move forward 6 weeks, and I'm going to have them play football against a senior in high school, you would never expect your 8th grader to be able to compete. If I were to say, I'm going to take an 8th grader and I'm going to put them in a senior calculus class, you would never expect them to survive. You are taking an 8th grader and putting them in a senior-laden performing arts organization. That is a massive physical, emotional, and musical gap they've got to cover. It is definitely massive.
Most definitely.
And they will cover it over time.
Right. Absolutely. But, as we talked about before, too, it is an activity that offers unique opportunities for engagement. So if there are performances, like we do a parent performance, get there. Make sure you're a part of it. Make sure you're a witness to it and you get to celebrate, the work that goes into it. If there's opportunities to volunteer, as Scott mentioned, when we feed the kids, he's there every day. Not just handing out food. He's literally walking around the cafeterias, cleaning the tables, and I
freaking love it, Chris. I do it
so
for
engaged.
Me. I do it.
He walks
for
the
me.
walk. He walks the walk in addition to talking the talk. But as a result, they know who Scott is. They trust Scott now. And I think you can't say enough about, again, we've talked about this before as well, just how much it means to have people who care about your kids around them on a 100%. Consistent basis. So, and I've had a couple instances where I've had parents reach out to me after, maybe something happened on the field or, a first aid incident and just say, thank you. Like, my kid knows they could trust you. And it means a lot that I can send them there with that.
So I got to tell you this is totally selfish, but
go ahead.
So I did a workshop with the band 2 years ago. You filmed it.
Yes.
And I tell a story, and there's a reason for the story, and it ends with pretty good otter pop.
No, I think let's set it up for a quick summary of the story, right? Quick summary of the story. Just like this could happen to a new kid potentially being outcast in a band because they're new and maybe they're not fitting in right away. There was a leader who basically extended some kindness to another band member who was having a tough time.
A freshman band member.
Correct. By literally saying, hey, dude, cheer up. Here's an otter pop. Like, this will make you feel better. And that action meant so much to that freshman kid. It uplifted them and motivated them in a way that started this trajectory.
Yeah. Came back on day
results.
2, made it through week 1. And then I follow that kid all the way through till he's 47 years old and he's a doctor in the emergency room.
There you
he's
go.
an ER doctor in San Diego right now.
Right.
And I talk about, it's a pretty good otter pop that got him from that day.
Over and over, every time something positive happens in this kid's life, Scott goes, that's a pretty good otter pop, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, because it got him to be a doctor, so to speak.
It's awesome.
So a local music store, Music and Arts, the education account manager, their ed rep, not knowing any of this, 2 years later brought otter pops to the kids
after rehearsal.
For the rehearsal, just as a way of saying, thanks for doing business with us. We appreciate you.
Right.
And I just heard a ton of kids walk around going, pretty good otter pop, huh?
That literally over and over again. You heard kids going, hey, pretty good otter pop, isn't it? Like over and over again. And it was adorable.
It wasn't about the otter pop. It was that they remembered something I said 2 years ago in band camp.
Absolutely.
That made me feel so good. I was giddy the rest of the night.
You deserve to be. And I think it's they're joking and they're kind of making a meme out of the phrase, but at the same time, there's no question those kids were affected enough in that conversation that I'm sure their actions are following what the point of the story is.
So it just goes to show you the little thing that you do at camp, they pay attention. They remember. They appreciate it, even if they don't say it. And not just your kid. Like I go do Feed the Bears and I clean up. These kids are capable of throwing away their paper plates, but I pick them all up off the table. And here's what I say to them. You worked hard today. I didn't. Let me do this for you. Because those kids are band kids. They don't want you to clean up after them. They want to clean up after them. And I say, no, it's my way of reminding them, you did something today. You were out in the sun for 8 hours. The very least I can do is pick up a paper plate for you.
No, I can appreciate that. And again, they remember those parents. And, they still talk about boosters for parents that, kids that have graduated and they remember them and they have nicknames for them and all this stuff because it does mean that much to them.
What's my nickname?
What's your nickname?
Do I have a nickname?
I don't know. Otter Pop, I guess. That's probably your nickname right now. No, it's just Scott Lang. Just like, for instance, the kids know that since I do all the media for the band, like almost any time I walk in a room anywhere, they're like, hey, 5 Deuce. Hey, it's 5 Deuce.
They call you 5 Deuce?
Yeah, they do call me 5 Deuce. They do call me 5 Deuce.
Folks, if you get the chance, if you've appreciated this, the whole goal of this episode was to get you to philosophically be grounded in band camp, let you understand the outcomes and the obstacles of band camp, and then how to approach your child through band camp. If you want a more in-depth blow, detailed day by day, go back and re-listen to the 3 episodes, Band Camp 1, 2, and 3, the mini-series that Chris did last year, or listen to It All Begins Here. Those are worth re-listening to, but they were from a different perspective. That was more minutia, day by day, what's happening and how do we teach and how do we learn. This was more about getting you as a director or you as a parent to think differently about the activity, its priorities, its philosophies, and its practices.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, we say a lot in that old episode, it helps establish culture. Again, what we
What's
mean.
the definition of culture?
Characteristic group of people and similar characteristics.
A common set of accepted practices, values, and beliefs by a given group of people in a time and place.
You know what? I don't think I should remember it. That's just your thing. We're just going to let you run with it. That's for everybody. That's exactly right. Like his T-shirt says right now. But culture, again, that's a very generic way to say it. So just a deeper cut. Again, just some of the main lessons that they're going to take out of band camp is life skills. This is not just about playing an instrument and marching in a formation on a field, right?
Correct.
Scott Lang, this is about life skills.
And here's to that statement. It's going to be the last thing I share is I travel around the country and I work with all sorts of music groups, mostly bands, but I do choirs, I do orchestras. And every time I work with a choir or an orchestra, here's what they say. How do I get that level of commitment, dedication, focus, and teamwork out of my choir? And I say, it's simple. Take them outside for 14 hours a day and march them around. And my way, what I'm saying is you can't substitute the experience of band camp.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I agree.
You cannot you can drop band camp, but then you lose the closeness, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the work ethic, the grit, and the determination.
Right.
This is a requirement. It is a requisite to build everything else the rest of the season needs to be successful.
Yep. And this is the only place it can happen. And these are the only hours you can spend that intensive focusing on it. So it's important. And there's really not much else to say. So thanks again, folks, for listening to our episode on Bandcamp. If you have any Bandcamp stories, maybe questions about what we've talked about with split scheduling or whatever it might be, we're always happy to engage in a conversation with you. Send us an email to feedback@banddadspodcast.com. We're happy to answer any questions you have. Or just again, if you just want to share a story, we get plenty of those too. So we're happy to engage with you in that way. Check us out on social media, the Banddads Pod on TikTok, and then the Banddads Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Again, we just appreciate everyone, and good luck in your Bandcamp journey this year. We know you're going to do excellent. You're going to come out on the other side successful, and it's going to be a great year. We're excited. I'm excited about this year. Are you excited about this year?
I am excited. I told Evan today, so I think it's going to be an even better year than last year, and I thought last year was pretty phenomenal.
I'm confident as that as well. All right, thanks, folks, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Banddads on 3! 1, 2, 3, Banddads!
The Banddads are a proud partner of Booster Hub. Simplify your Booster Club's management with Booster Hub's all-in-one tools. Find out more and get your free trial started by visiting boosterhub.com. Banddads Podcast is a 5 Deuce Media production. For more information, please visit 5deucemedia.com. For more information on Scott Lang leadership and solutions for music education, please visit scottlang.net.